Well, I went and did it again. I bought some more golf grips off Amazon. We're gonna try them out, see what I think. Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a wonderful day. I'm here in the Elite Fit Golf fitting studio, and we are going back to Amazon for some more golf grips. I did a video on this a ways back where I tried a couple different grips that I was comparing to this Golf Pride MCC multi-compound golf grip. Extremely popular, very popular on tour, but it's not cheap. It's about $12.50 a grip, so it's definitely on the more expensive side. Well, you can go on Amazon and you can find all kinds of grips for a whole lot less money. So I tried a couple of those grips out, and that video seemed to do pretty well. People were pretty interested. So I've gone back to Amazon for a second time to find some new grips that I haven't tried before that, again, would be comparable to this MCC. So what I've got for you today in this box, I've got two different grips. The first one is called GeoLeap, and the second one is from Kingrasp or Kingrasp, one or the other. All right, so just like last time, we're going to be reviewing these grips in a few different categories. First one is going to be basically the looks and the feel of just taking them out of the packaging. What do I think? How do they feel in the hands? Also, like we did last time, do they have any kind of weird smell? Because you can usually identify cheap or poorly made grips by a really strong chemical smell. So we're going to see if either of these have any of that smell going on. Second thing we're going to do is check the consistency or the quality of these grips, and I'm going to do that by checking all the weights. We're going to weigh all these grips. Again, just like last time, because if you buy a Golf Pride MCC or any Golf Pride or Lambkin or Win or any of the big name grips, you expect them to have pretty tight tolerances when it comes to weight. Usually you will find that they're all within 1 gram. When I did the last Amazon video, the weights were a little bit more sporadic. So we're going to check the weights. We're going to weigh all of these and see how close they come out. Last thing we're going to do, I've got my 9 pitching wedge and gap wedge here. We're going to put one of these on one club, one of these on one club, and a MCC Golf Pride grip on one. I'm going to hit them all without a glove, with a glove, maybe get some water on them, and see how they all react when I'm actually swinging. All right, so the GeoLeap, let's see. First off, well, obviously it looks very similar to the MCC. It's got this, the red section down here has that more tour velvet texture, and then up here at the top, you've got some of that cord. It feels pretty soft. Again, comparing it to the actual MCC, they feel pretty close. Any sort of smell? Not really, actually. They don't really have much of any smell other than a slight rubber smell, which again, in my book, means it's hopefully a little better quality. Okay, next up we've got the Kingrasp. I'm still not sure. But let's open one of these, grab it out. And okay, so first off, looking at it just from the appearance, again, looks pretty similar to the MCC, again, with that tour velvet style look down here at the bottom and the cord up here at the top. It's one thing I noticed right away is it is a lot firmer feeling. This is a much harder grip in my hand, both down here in the blue section and definitely up here in the cord section. It is very stiff compared to the MCC. Also has what I would say are much more obvious indentions here on these parts right here where it's got sort of that wrap look to it. On the MCC, the real one, it's very subtle as far as how much you actually notice those little wrap areas. On this one, it is much more obvious. Smell on this one actually smells, again, not much smell to it, so both of these, both the Kingrasp and the GeoLeap, both passed the smell test at least. Yeah, so biggest difference, the GeoLeap looks and feels pretty darn close to this MCC, This guy, definitely a lot harder and a little different feel in the hand. I'm not going to say whether that's good or bad yet, just right now it's just different. Oh yeah, and we should probably also mention the price of these because that is kind of important. So like we said, the actual real deal Golf Pride MCC grip retails for around $12 to $12.50, somewhere around there. The Geo Leap grip, and again, when you buy these grips off Amazon, they come as sets of 13. So for 13 grips, the price was $45. That comes out to $3.46 per grip. The King Rasp was slightly cheaper. It was $40, again for 13 grips, which comes out to $3.08 per grip. Okay, next thing we're going to do is weigh all 13 of each of these grips and see how close they are to one another. Okay, now we're going to do the King Rasp. Okay, now having weighed all of the grips, I really was thinking that these Geo Leaps were going to come out really tight because for the first 7 or so, they were all within 1 gram between 51 and 52. However, we then did run into a couple that jumped up to 55, also had one that was 53. So the overall spread was actually between 51 and 55 grams. Now the King Rasp was actually a little bit tighter. Everything we got there was between 55 and 57 grams. So a little bit more consistent overall. It is a little bit heavier, which wasn't really surprising just based on the density of it, the stiffness of it. I figured it would be, but overall, pretty darn close. We've checked how they look. We've checked how consistent they are, but the big question is, how do they feel? So I've just put 3 grips on 3 of my irons, and I'm just gonna hit some different shots and see how they feel without a glove, with a glove, and then I'm gonna wet them down a little bit and see how the traction is when they're a little bit damp. All right, first up, I'm gonna go ahead and start off with the real deal Golf Pride MCC. We'll go first with no glove, then I'll do a glove. Yeah, I mean, this grip, I know it well. I've used it a lot, so no big surprises. Has good traction, good texture to it with no glove on. I'll go ahead, put a glove on now, hit a couple. Yeah, still feels really good. No surprise there. Okay, last thing we're gonna do. I'm gonna put a little bit of water on this grip. I'm not gonna use the glove. And we're just gonna see what kind of traction I get when the when the grip has been wet, and then we'll just sort of try and dry it off quickly. All right, now, hopefully you can see this. It is very wet right now. I just ran it under the sink. So I'm just gonna give it a quick towel off, just like that. It's still pretty damp. See what we get out of it. Yeah, I can feel it slipping just a little bit in my hand, but and actually now that it has dried just slightly on that second shot, still had a good amount of grip at that point. So yeah, all right, so this is our baseline. This is what everything else is trying to match up with. All right, next up, the Geo Leap. These were $3.46 a piece. Feel-wise, feels pretty close to the Golf Pride. Feels a little bit thinner, like the diameter is a little bit smaller on the shaft. That's probably the biggest difference that I'm noticing. Texture-wise, pretty darn close, honestly, to the MCC. So let's see how it does with no grip. No glove, sorry. Yeah, so overall, I like it. It is a little bit smaller. And so it feels a little harder to hold on to. I don't know if that's just the size or if it's also maybe not quite as tacky, but just slightly smaller, and that may be what I'm noticing. Let's go ahead, put a glove on now, and see if that helps. Pulled it a little bit, but again, with the glove, it does make it easier to hold, but at the same time, I still notice the size slightly. Last thing, we're going to put some water on it. This might get a little bit hairy, we'll see. All right, there you go. Water dripping down. We're just going to go and give it a quick dry off. See what we get. Oh, that definitely slipped. That slipped a good amount. Let's try another one with, now this dried off a little bit more. Oh, that was better feeling. Yeah, by the second swing, the water is kind of dried off. Yeah, overall, feel is good, just a little bit small. Would probably need an extra layer or two of tape underneath it just to get it up to size, feeling like a standard size grip. Okay, last up we've got the King Grasp, and just trying to feel the size difference. Yeah, so this one, the King Grasp, actually feels a little bit thicker on the top hand, but maybe a little bit smaller on the bottom hand. Interesting. Whereas this one, the GeoLeap, feels a little smaller on the top, but it's a little bit more or a little less tapered feeling overall. So we'll try this guy now. Again, King Grasp, this is a gap wedge. So this grip definitely feels harder. It's definitely stiffer feeling, especially on this backhand. I don't really notice the extra deep indention so much. That doesn't bother me at all. But it does have a much firmer, I don't know if firmer is quite even the right word. It is just a harder feel. It makes the ball feel a little harder when you hit it with this grip on it, I think. Let's go ahead, put a glove on. The texture is good. It's got good grip on it. I feel like it doesn't feel like you're going to lose the club. And maybe that's also partially because of that taper feeling a little bit more significant between the butt end and the tip end. But don't feel like I'm going to lose it ever or have it slip, but definitely a firmer, stiffer feeling grip. Last thing, let's put some water on it. All right, nice and wet. Give it a quick initial wipe down and see what we get out of it. Now this actually feels like I've got the best handle on, honestly. All right, I'm going to go through all three of them one more time. No grip, just get a final feel for them. Okay, so the final take on these two Amazon golf grips that cost significantly less than the MCC Golf Pride. I have to say overall, the GeoLeap feels a lot like the MCC, just in its firmness and its overall texturing. It is a little bit smaller though, so that's something to be aware of. And it did have a pretty wide margin of error as far as the weight difference between them. So had some good, had some not so good. The King Grasp, I have to say honestly, I was surprised how much I liked it as far as how stable and solid it felt in my hand. It definitely does feel hard. It is a very hard, firm feeling grip. So if you like a hard grip, this might be something to check out. But whether it's the cord on there, this extra deep sort of wrap part that goes around it, or just the fact that it has this more aggressive tapering from the butt end to the tip, it felt like I wasn't ever going to lose it. Even when I had the shots I was hitting when it was wet, it didn't feel like it was really going to slip at all. So that was really nice. All right, there you go. The King Grasp and the GeoLeap. Both had some good things, had some things maybe I didn't love, but you can't really argue with the price at under $4 a grip on Amazon. They also come in standard and mid-size, and you can get them in a slew of different color options, so something to be aware of. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you go down below, like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell icon down at the bottom so you'll be alerted when I post new videos. Make sure you check out my other channel, Elite Fit Golf, and check me out on Instagram at Mobile Club Maker, and I'll see you next time. Bye.